What's going on, everybody? It's the Bull Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we've got an episode of Chicago Bulls Weekly to provide for you guys as we look at the previous week for the Chicago Bulls that has just come to an end, as well as draw our attention to the next upcoming week, which will still be a very big week for the Chicago Bulls. Still inconsistent. Still fighting our way to try to get to the 500 and above 500 level mark. Ultimately, it's going to be a big test for the Bulls to see whether or not they can do that. Right now, they sit 2 games below 500, and we'll wait and see if they can finally push over that barrier or if they'll fall back to where they've been all season. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bull Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about all the awards that will be given out this week, if you agree or disagree with any of them that we'll give, as well as how do you think the Bulls will go in the next week. I think the previous week, it's done and dusted. We've had some very interesting games to say the least, but mostly for the Bulls, it's been fairly positive. We've only won 2 games and lost 1 this time out. So in a 3-game week, 2-1, I think most people would take that every day of the week, to be honest, especially knowing that, okay, we lost to a very good team, to be fair, and we beat the teams that we should beat, which I think, again, it's a good step for the Chicago Bulls. And I don't know how the season will end. There's still a long way to go, but in terms of looking at this previous week, I don't think many people can complain too much about it. So let's get started. Let's go through, obviously, the games. The first game we had this week was against the Los Angeles Clippers, and we ended up losing this game 108 to 103. I would say a disappointing game for the Chicago Bulls, in all fairness. This was a game where Kawhi Leonard was playing. Great to see him. The Clippers swarmed us in terms of the defensive end. They squeezed the life out of us on that defensive end. We had a lot of turnovers. DeMar had a lot of turnovers. The Bulls in general had a lot of turnovers, and we gave up a big lead. The typical Bulls standards, I guess you could say. Performing well in some games, giving up big leads in others. I truly believe, again, I don't have the stats to show this, but we probably have one of the, we're one of the better teams at giving away leads in the NBA. I really do believe that. I think that will be a statistic that's not on our side, to be fair. But regardless of that fact, the Clippers are a good team. I think if many of us said at the beginning of the season we would lose a game to the Los Angeles Clippers, not many people would be surprised by that, especially with Kawhi Leonard in the team. I think they're a different team with Kawhi Leonard playing, and it might take some time for him to fully get back to 100% and to play at his MVP caliber level, which we know we can. But it's a start, and he had a great game against the Bulls. And for the Bulls side of things, we gave this one away, to be honest. Yes, if DeMar DeRozan didn't have 8 turnovers in that game, we probably could have won that game. Again, if we didn't give up another big lead and we actually managed the game well, we would have won this game. Stuff like that. So, frustrating, disappointing, and I think at this point we've come to expect it from this Bulls team. But we picked it up in the next game against the Charlotte Hornets, where we extracted some revenge and we won this game 114 to 98. Again, it's one of those games where, to be fair, I thought the Bulls were going to give up another lead, but they managed to stick through and they managed to win the game. And it might be a confidence-boosting game, it might have not been a confidence-boosting game, but what I will say about this game is that it's a team that we should beat. The Charlotte Hornets, with LaMelo Ball or without LaMelo Ball, are not the greatest team in the NBA at the moment. They've been struggling all season. Inconsistencies and injuries, inconsistency in style of play. Not great offense, not great defense. One of the worst records in the NBA, one of the worst home records in the NBA. You get all these things with the Charlotte Hornets, and to be fair, they put up one hell of a fight this game. They put up one hell of a fight in their victory in the previous outing with the Chicago Bulls as well. So you got to give them respect and credit where it's due. But at the same time, the Bulls should have won the first game around, and they let that slip, a wasted opportunity when positivity was coming our way. And then we managed to get that revenge this time out, and thankfully the Bulls got the job done. Then we versed a game. We had a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. A game where, in all honesty, I didn't know which direction it would go in, because Portland, very similar situation to the Bulls, up and down at the moment, good stretches, bad stretches, started off the season incredibly hot, ended up falling off a cliff in terms of their form and their performances, and altogether, they're back in winning ways. I think they won 5 out of 6 games, or now 5 out of 7 games on their season, but the Bulls did a good job. Second night of a back-to-back for Portland. They fell off in the second half of that game, and the Bulls surged, and they fought, and they fought, and they fought, and they won this game 129 to 121. A game where no defense was played, a game where offense really shined through for both teams, and Portland were tired, you could clearly tell, and the Bulls took advantage of that. Again, every team goes through back-to-backs. Literally our next 2 games will be back-to-backs, and they'll be traveling from east to west. So we're going to feel the same way as Portland probably felt today. Tired, a little bit beat up, all their shots not necessarily falling in the second half, their energy will be gone. I can only imagine how the Bulls would react in that situation, and to be fair, we've won a couple of back-to-back games this season, but again, I can understand why Portland fell off that cliff and their performance dropped in many ways, but at the same time, the Bulls took advantage of it, and that's exactly what you need to do as the home team and as a team that's not playing the back-to-back and should be fresher as a team. So 2-1 this week, you will take that. Again, I think the win against Portland is a big one because they are, I believe, an above 500 team as well right now, but it's a game at home, and they're not the best team in the West at the moment. So I'm thankful that the Bulls managed to win that game. But now we turn into the awards. Must improve, 6th man of the week, defensive player of the week, and player of the week in general. And I think all of these awards are fairly straightforward, at least in my eyes. I think all these awards this week are very straightforward. We'll start off with the must improve. I'm going to give it to someone that I think last week won the 6th man of the week for me. I'm going to give it to Derrick Jones Jr. He's played around 16 minutes a game these times out. I think one of the games he only played around 8 minutes or so, but he's not had the best time this week for the Chicago Bulls. I think it's clear as day. One of the games as a backup center, I think he only had 0 points in 16 minutes. Obviously, this last game is Portland, not the best. And he had an okay outing in the 8 minutes against the Charlotte Hornets, where he was the forward and he got a putback dunk and a couple of rebounds. But altogether, the performances that we've seen from Derrick Jones over January, I don't think has translated well into February as of now. So, or at least in some of February, let's say. So that's kind of how I feel about, I guess, Derrick Jones Jr. in this week. Am I going to be upset with Derrick Jones? Absolutely not. Again, he's being asked to play multiple positions, and right now, with the resurgence of Andre Drummond, he's getting pulled back into the forward spot, and he's played most of January as the backup center for this team. So again, it's an adjustment period just like everything else. I think you just have to give it time with Derrick Jones. You have to give it time with Andre Drummond. You have to give it time when you're asking players to play multiple positions. Sometimes when you're playing center for a month and then you're back at forward, it could be difficult for Derrick Jones. Yes, he could be doing all the right things. He could be in the right spots at the right times, but the game might not come to him as, I guess, easily unless you give it time to adapt, for him to adapt and allow the game to come to him a little bit easier. So I have nothing to say about Derrick Jones. I'm not going to say anything badly about him, but I think we can see through his performances and even his stats that it just hasn't translated yet. But I'm more than happy to give him time, and I still believe the combination of Derrick Jones and Andre Drummond as the forward and center will work out best for us in the long term. So we'll wait and see what ends up happening in that regard. Moving into the 6th man of the week, it's a toss-up in my opinion between Andre Drummond and Coby White. And the reason why I think it's a toss-up between those two, Alex Caruso missed a game and a half basically this week, and I think he would have been in contention for this. But outside of that, in terms of the bench unit, I thought those two played incredible this week. But in all fairness, Andre Drummond, if he played most of the minutes in that first game and he actually had a great standing in that time, I probably would have given the award to him. But Coby White has been fantastic this week, and my award for 6th man of the week will go to him once again. 20 points in one of the games, I think it was against the Clippers if I'm not mistaken, and he's had double digits in all of his 3 games this week. Alongside of his solid defense, his very, very hard work, a lot of minutes being played, and sometimes his playmaking has been good for this team as well. So I think this is a very straightforward answer, to be honest, but at the same time, you also have to give respect for Andre Drummond because he got a Player of the Game award for me for his 15 and 11 rebound performance. Apparently, there's not many people that did that, I guess, stat line in the minutes that he's done it in. So he was incredible in that game. Very, very good against the Portland Trailblazers as well. But yeah, I just think at the end of the day, this was Kobe White's to lose, and he definitely did not lose it. So congratulations to him. But speaking of Andre Drummond, this might be a controversial take. My defensive player of the week will go to Andre Drummond. Now, statistic-wise, maybe that's not the right answer to give. Maybe you still give it to Caruso, who played a game and a half. Maybe you give it to other guys. I think Zach LaVine was okay defensively today, to be honest, as well. And defensively was solid all week. I thought team defense will actually a lot better than I would normally say we were. Obviously, besides Portland, we gave up 121 points to them. For the most part, we kept all these teams to below 110. So it's only one game that we actually really struggled on the defensive end. But for Andre Drummond, his movement, in my opinion, on the defensive end, I think has been a game changer for this team off of that bench. The 15-11 performance is great. He got posted in that game as well, if I'm not mistaken. But I think his presence in the paint is making people think a little bit more. What was so dominant about teams is that they get to the foul line against us and that their points in the paint is usually very high against us. I don't necessarily think that's changed. But with Andre Drummond, I do believe that with his presence inside of that paint, I think teams are starting to second guess it a little bit. And it's usually when Andre Drummond is out of the game that the points in the paint really start to pile up. I think his movement in today's game against Portland, against small ball, was massive for this team. We didn't have to revert to Derrick Jones Jr. back as the small ball center for this team because Andre Drummond was moving like a small ball center. He was very, very quick, very, very athletic. He even blocked an alley-oop, if I'm not mistaken, in that game against Portland. And I think if he can do that on a regular basis, then we could still play a small ball system with Andre Drummond into the team. Yes, he's a 7-footer, I get that. And he's going to play big offensively. He's not going to be, I guess, 5 out, shoot the 3, and see where it goes type of player. As much as he wanted to hype himself up as someone that's going to chuck up a lot of 3s at the beginning of the season, he's not done any of that throughout the season. Really as simple as that. So in terms of offense, you're going to get offensive rebounds. You're going to get someone that could be a bully, a pick and roll player. And that's fine. That's great. But defensively, he's moving like a small ball guy. He's going out into the perimeter. He's obviously going into the paint as well. And he's grabbing rebounds. I think he's been superb defensively, in all honesty. That's why I give it to him. I don't mean to ramble on about him, but I still think it's a crime that we haven't seen him for over a month. Very, very few and far between. So I really do hope that this is not going to be a situation where we're building up his trade value and getting rid of him before the trade deadline. I hope this is a sign that Billy Donovan will play him for the rest of the season. I think we need it. I think we've seen that it can help this team. Of course, Andre Drummond can't have a great game every single game. Foul trouble will get in the way. Obviously, him trying to do too much will get in the way. I'm not saying play him every single minute, every single game. Sometimes revert back to small ball if you need to. That's okay. Small ball is a good option, but it can't be the only option that we have. I hope that we finally learned that lesson. I said must improve defensive player of the week, sixth man of the week. Okay, we're going to the player of the week now, ladies and gentlemen. And I think the player of the week is Zach LaVine, in all honesty. I think he's had a great game for most of these games. I don't actually know what he did against the Clippers. Hold on, let me check those stats. But the games after that, Zach LaVine only had 18 points, but he had 14 rebounds and 8 assists. Very, very good game. I definitely remember that one. So, yeah, altogether, I think it's Zach LaVine's. I don't think there's anyone really close to that conversation. I think DeMar was good this week. I think Vooch was good this week. I think all of them were good. But Zach LaVine, especially in that last game, maybe it's recency bias, but he elevated his game a little bit more. And that's why Zach LaVine is my player of the week. Now, all the awards given, let's focus on what's to come. And what's to come is going to be a very, very busy week for the Chicago Bulls. We start off the week with a back-to-back with our first game against the San Antonio Spurs at home. I've already mentioned it a little bit in the last video, but I expect the Bulls to be the favorites to win this game. Again, we did lose to the Spurs at the Spurs Arena in San Antonio. What I will say is the Spurs are still a very inconsistent team. I wouldn't necessarily call them an amazing team as well. Bulls have the talent. Bulls have the ability, in my opinion. If they can play a consistent 4 quarters, which I think we have to keep on doing. If we're going to actually do anything this season, we have to play all 4 quarters every single game. Then we can win this game. And we are the favourites to win this game, and we should win this game. But what we've known from San Antonio, even when it was last season and our form was sky high, San Antonio gives us problems. Their style of play gives us problems. Their coach gives us problems. Their overall great chemistry as a team. They play some of the best team basketball, even if they're losing in the NBA. I truly believe that. So it's a team game can definitely hurt us, and they've hurt us already this season. So you expect, obviously, the Bulls to be very wary of that. And hopefully they can bring their own team play, and we can battle it out to see who can win that game. But then, which I can't believe that we're doing this. We're playing at home in Chicago against the San Antonio Spurs. Then we're going all the way over to Memphis, Tennessee, and we're versing the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis, they're definitely a dangerous team. Don't get me wrong. I think they definitely caused us problems as well. Again, there were a lot of performances there, but I do think they have a couple of injuries that might favour the Chicago Bulls. I don't think Steven Adams is playing for them at the moment. And that's obviously a huge loss for them. And that might be a potential, I guess, situation the Bulls can take advantage of. Again, I wish Steven Adams the best. He's one of the most, in my opinion, he's the funniest guy in the NBA. Absolutely, he's a great player, and obviously he's very entertaining to watch and very entertaining to listen to. But what I will say is that I think Memphis are a different team without Steven Adams, so maybe we could take advantage of that. But obviously their team is still very dangerous. Their team is still very good. Cannot take that team lightly whatsoever. Moving into that next game, we've also got a game against the Brooklyn Nets. What can we say about Brooklyn that hasn't already been said? Kyrie Irving requested a trade, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of the NBA. And I don't know if he's going to get that trade, to be honest. Look, he requested a trade, I believe, earlier on in the offseason, and he didn't get it. Kevin Durant didn't get it either. Him requesting a trade now, could he get that trade? I don't know. I personally don't know. If I was Brooklyn, I'm thinking to myself, all right, Kyrie Irving, expiring deal. If you let him go for nothing, then you got nothing to, I guess, improve your future on. So Brooklyn, I think it should be in their best interest to make a trade. So by the time that we verse the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving might not be there. It might be a completely different team in general. But we can't assume things here. I'm going to just take a guess and say Kyrie Irving will be a Brooklyn Nets by the time that we verse the Brooklyn Nets again. So that's a dangerous team. That's a team that we've beaten twice, to be fair, but can never take lightly. A team with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, assuming they're both there. Again, I just said we can't assume things, but let's just assume that they're there. It's a very, very dangerous team. You cannot take them lightly. The last game is going to be against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We've had some controversy, some battles, and some historic moments against the Cleveland Cavaliers. In three of the first game was a blowout by the Cavs, to be fair. Our home opener, and the Cavs destroyed us. Can't really take anything away from them there. The second game was, I think it was the game I think they came back. No. It was the game where both Bulls and Cavs played awful, but the Cavs managed to walk away with a win in Chicago, I believe, in the fourth quarter. They came back. Sorry, I'm mumbling a little bit. I'm trying to remember the games. And obviously, I believe the third game was the Donovan Mitchell 71-point performance, and the Bulls gave up a 23-point lead in that game as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, controversy, for sure. Yeah, big controversy there, ladies and gentlemen. But again, you have to assume that, look, we've come close to beating the Cavs before. Are they a dangerous team? Absolutely. I think Darius Garland is playing now as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it won't be easy, but you have to have some faith that the Bulls can walk away with a win. If the Cavs beat us 4 times this season, well then, that's very, very disappointing to see, and hopefully that's not what we do see. So, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in the next Chicago Bulls video. Hopefully you enjoyed Bulls Weekly. See you next week if you watch every week. If not, I'll see you, I guess, tomorrow for the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.